This show is for informational purposes only. In view of the complex nature of health and disease, it is only recommended that you change your current treatments or healthcare practice with the direct assistance of a health professional. You can contact Dr. Dale if you desire to achieve true health. Call his office at 931-591-2010.
Got a great show for you today. This is going to help a lot of people. What I want you to do right now, get your cell phones out and text the person you care, you love, that has had their gallbladder removed, one or both of their ovaries removed, who's had pancreatitis, maybe they've had appendicitis, had their appendix removed, maybe they're having pelvic health problems as a female. You know what? Text them right now before they go under the knife and have the surgery. We're going to talk about why so many people are having surgery when the reality is it's not getting them any healthier. We've got to talk about this subject. It's long overdue, and what I mean by long overdue, we're going to be talking from research from all the way back in 1933 and before then. In fact, I got out one of my history books here, I guess we'd call it. Had to go back into my my bookshelf here. This is Orthopedia by Nicholas Andre, published in 1743. We're going to reference a little bit in that too. I'm not going to flip to the pages, but I'll tell you, if you can watch online right now, or if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, I guess it would be. Let's talk about the term orthopedic or orthopedia. It was originally what they would call it. Ortho is a Greek term for upright, for straight, for improper alignment, and orthopedia was the term they used to describe or title physicians at the time, back in the 1700s and before. They titled them that because their job, their purpose was to evaluate whether a child, pediatric, a child was growing straight, upright. And they would actually correct their spine, folks, if they were not standing upright. If they had curvatures of their spine, if their spine was out of alignment, they would correct the child's alignment. Why? Because it was vital for that child to grow healthy and well their entire lives, to have a straight and properly aligned spine. And this, if you're watching online, maybe you can see this. I don't know what cameras do I need to point this at, but I think it very comical. I promise you right now, that is not the way that I adjust children in my office right there. If you can see that online. How am I going to see this? Anthony, can I see stuff on my computer? Make sure. Hey, I can straighten the spine, but I can't even figure out how to work a computer all the time. I can read research on it. There we go. I see it now. Good. Just got to scroll up and down. Kind of crazy. I don't know if you saw that very well or not. Put that right there in front of that. Yeah, there you go. So I mean, the expression on that little baby. These are all hand drawings. They couldn't take pictures back then, I guess. So they did this hand drawing. And this guy's got an even cooler hat than I do. Maybe that's what I should go with. This hat my wife got me for Christmas. I guess she thought the wild doc needed to look the part. And that's a real pheasant feather for me and my buddy going out to South Dakota, doing a little pheasant hunting. Don't worry, I didn't just kill them for the sport of it. I actually eat them. You know, we might have a Christmas or a New Year's duck. We're going to smoke some duck and some deer roast. I know. We're going to do some brewing of medicinal tinctures, homemade beer. But we have made, actually, we made a stinging nettle root and leaf beer. We made that here last season when stinging nettle was ready to be harvested. Man, that stuff is nasty if you get it on your skin. But it's one of the most medicinal wilderness remedies, as I call them, that it can actually help with prostatitis, prostate inflammation, swelling of the prostate. Stinging nettle root was actually found to help in preventing prostate cancer by lowering that inflammation, help with frequency of urination, all those issues with an unhealthy prostate. So just a little side note there as I get off task.
You have combined it with an adult beverage?
And yes, we can. I think I'm going to start a brewing company, and we'll call it Drinking with a Purpose. Drink to your health.
Purpose, so
But I mean, The wine can have benefits, but, alcohol and sugar in excess can have damaging effects on your liver. You definitely want to be in moderation there. So, going to talk about this research study. And there I wanted to clarify that they used to have orthopedic physicians in the 1700s, 1800s, even up in the 1900s that actually evaluated the alignment of the spine, and by correction they would restore function and health to the human body. And it's sad that they went away from that, and the chiropractic profession took up that role in a much stronger degree. But then sadly there was a twist of fate there with the Rockefellers and Carnegies just getting behind, and lots of money and medical establishment and organizations really getting behind the idea that, well, if we get people healthy, we can't patent, spinal correction. We can't patent, teaching people about wilderness remedies. We can't patent and significantly profit off of those things. So we've got to figure out how to monopolize the healthcare industry. How do we do that? We've got to get organizations to restrict natural. They went after all the holistic naturopaths, people that would talk about herbs and remedies, things that people could literally make at home themselves. So they went after that education portion of our healthcare industry, and then it was like the snake oil salesman actually became the new physician, because then you could patent things that were made in a laboratory, that were made where no one else could make them. They didn't have the science and the chemicals and all this stuff, and they couldn't patent it because it was Mother Nature's, creation, and God's creation actually. So that's what happened, and through that process, they really, the funding for medical institutions and universities, what happened was the Rockefellers and these wealthy families would actually say, we're not going to fund your university if you continue to teach correction of the spine or naturopathy, other, wellness type and true health, knowledges. So they didn't give the physicians that knowledge. So then all this stuff that I'm about to talk about really went by the wayside. But don't worry, folks, don't worry. The pharmaceutical industry has the answer for us again. We will talk a brief bit about the 2013 article, GlaxoSmithKline plans to pay $1 million prize. That's not a lot of money to a pharmaceutical industry, but it's a lot of money to one person. So if you are able to jumpstart the development of electroceuticals, that's drugs that change the electrical signals of your body, folks. So what they said here in this article, and what I'm doing here is I'm cross-referencing between pharmaceutical industry, medical physicians, and really teaching the public right now. What I want to do is teach people out there how we can help people avoid unnecessary surgeries. Surgeries that, when you look at the research, if you have your gallbladder removed, you actually have an increased risk of different types of colorectal, colon cancers. You have an increased risk of pancreatic cancer specifically, and we'll talk about why that is later in the show. But there's serious risks and problems with going in and just cutting organs of the body out, because those organs are there for a purpose. They need to remain in your body. We just need to restore the function of those organs rather than cutting out a dysfunctional organ. And that just doesn't make sense. It's like, hey, I drive into the mechanic and I say, hey, my oil light is on right now. He's like, well, there must be a problem with your oil pump. Let's go ahead and just remove your oil pump. Would that make sense, anybody? No. Why do we think differently about our bodies? Like, I always wonder about that. I'm like, how in the world did we get to such a day and age where we think removing organs creates health? Removing things. If creating health came from removing body parts, let's just cut everything out as soon as they're born. Wouldn't that make? We want to prevent all gallbladder issues in every single person in the population. So as soon as every single child's born, let's just remove their gallbladder so nobody ends up with gallbladder issues ever in their life, right? Well, actually, that's not exactly true, because what they found in the research all the way dating back to 1930s, they found that people would have their gallbladders, their ovaries removed, parts of their colon removed, their appendix. They'd have organ systems removed and then continue to have the health problems, the symptoms, the pain, the gastrointestinal disturbances, as they would call it, upset stomach, diarrhea. Not toting Pepto-Bismol right now. The pink slime, the pink
Yeah.
just poison. That's pink poison, folks. Don't take it. Just no good for you. All right, so this is the core of who I am, what I believe in. I believe in true health. I believe that we need to search out the cause of a health condition. If we do that, we're restoring health, vitality, longevity to the human person, to that patient. I treat patients. I don't treat symptoms. I don't treat conditions. I treat people in my office. And that's ultimately what a physician needs to do. So let's talk about this. If you want to give my office a call, it's 931-591-2010. 591-2010.
That's it.
Yeah, I was like, what's my phone number again? I don't call it ever, so I don't have
I
to
have this
remember it. If you want to call, you can always ask your questions on Facebook. We're on Facebook Live. Hello, everyone. I appreciate all the listeners and watchers there. We got Crystal online, Holly online. Excellent. Thank you so much. Did somebody say hello from Hollywood? That's awesome. I've had a patient actually schedule an online consult from the UK.
Wow.
Yeah, we just got notified by email. It's like, that's amazing. I'm a world changer. That's what I want to be. I want to change the world of healthcare across not just this nation, not just Clarksville, this community, but I want to change it across the entire globe. Because people really deserve to know and understand where their health comes from, how they can restore health, and I got one of my patients actually, Holly, online there, and she's had multiple health conditions following surgery and a lot of invasive procedures, a lot of conditions. We've been working on her spine. She's come a long, long way, but after having spinal fusion surgery, after having so many intestinal tract surgeries, it's sad that she had she's dealt with so many health conditions. And then, as Winston Churchill famously said, Americans, and I'm not harping on Holly here, no pun intended there, another rhyme.
Yes.
For some reason it works out that way so well. But it's not her fault. What we should be saying, I gave this article, the research that we're going to go through, I gave this research to another patient of mine on Thursday, and I told her, I'm like, this should literally piss you off. This should make you frustrated with the medical system for what it's done to so many people in terms of not addressing the underlying cause, despite well-established research and evidence showing that spinal misalignments can cause health problems, and that through surgery, we don't remove the cause, we actually continue to cause and allow for further and further disruption of the body. We may remove symptoms sometimes, but we're not removing the problem itself. So Holly's laughing on there, but it's just sad. She her health, and she's come a long way. She's doing a lot better, but she's very much, it's up and down, up and down. We're progressively working. We've got to keep her spine strong. We've got to do a lot more work than we would have had to done had she been told by orthopedics, as a child, hey, we need to keep this child, this young lady, we need to keep her growing straight and strong. That was the original term for that in Greek, was ortho, straight, upright. And pedia, child, if we would have kept this child, this Holly, as a young girl growing, she wouldn't have developed the intestinal issues that she wound up with, and especially if she hadn't had the lumbar fusion surgery. So, because that doesn't correct, it actually typically fuses the spine in the wrong positions, and the person has major health problems thereafter. So, thank you, online listeners. Keep listening, keep sharing. Make sure that you get your cell phones out. Text your friends, your family members. That right now is something that could save them from having to go under the knife. And if they've had those surgeries, they've had those organs removed, it's very critical, like I stated, it's very critical that we let them know that if they've just had their gallbladder removed, even if the symptom is gone, you may have, the gallbladder may have spasmed because of pinched nerves in the back, there's still going to be pressure on those nerves. And if there's pressure on those nerves, we're going to have health problems in other regions of the body in that or surrounding area of the spine where the most pressure was on the nerves to go to the gallbladder. Well, then the pancreas is next, and that's why they see the research hasn't gone that in depth yet, but I guarantee you, with all the evidence available to us right now, the pancreatic cancer, they can't understand why somebody having their, the quote unquote, they can't understand in the medical community why somebody would have an increased risk of pancreatic cancer if they had a gallbladder removed. Well, it's simple, folks. If you had misalignments in the region of the spine that caused gallbladder to malfunction, you just have your gallbladder cut out, you didn't restore normal function and healing to the body, and now you've removed the pancreas, or the gallbladder, now you've removed an organ, but you've left the spinal misalignments there. Well, what they find in this research all the way back in 1930, what they find, that the spine would continue to deteriorate and the person would ultimately succumb to more and more health problems even after having their surgery. So, let's stop that madness, that mutilation of the body, and start getting to the root causes. So let's start going through the research right now. Again, I wanted to touch on the drug company and cross-reference here. Just listen to the language of this. This is chiropractic at its finest. Now, I will reference and differentiate between, because I had a patient who went and started working for me, who Jacob now is off to chiropractic school. He's come home for the holidays, went and visited other chiropractors, and he's like, it's totally different in your office, Dr. Brown. It's totally different because you're actually doing structural corrective work rather than just adjustments. He was talking about one chiropractor. And I mean, I don't mean to be negative. I'm not trying to be negative there, but I pray and I wish that our profession would stand up, become the leaders in healthcare that we need to be as physicians of underlying causes of spinal misalignments. Physicians of the nervous system is what we are as chiropractors. That's our foundation. If we don't correct the spine, that person is going to be at less function, less health. We need to be the best we can possibly be at correcting the spine. And there's a clear difference between just popping the spine and adjusting it. Mobilizing is a good thing for joints, but it's not what's going to correct and get pressure or tension off the nerves. We need to structurally correct the spine. And, he went to one that was like, his care plans were, whatever your insurance pays for, that's what I recommend. That's literally what he told patients. And I'm like, wow, that should speak volumes to any patient there. So he works for your insurance company. He doesn't work for you. He's not giving recommendations to you. He's giving recommendations that his insurance company says that he'll reimburse him for financial reasons for. So that's not really the type of doctor. If you just rely on your health insurance for your well-being and health, folks, get a really, really good life insurance plan because you're going to need it sooner than most. That's all I got to say. Done with that. Because they don't pay for you to be healthy. They pay for you to have emergency procedures, and many of those emergency procedures don't really prolong your life exponentially. They prolong your life months to weeks to sometimes a couple years. You've got to get rid of the root cause of a health condition and through that process. That's my clinic. What I do is search out underlying causes. Now, here we go. GlaxoSmithKline, $1 million prize to jumpstart electroceuticals. They want to create drugs that will actually change the electrical signals of the body. They state that electrical signals in the body are a cause of disease, and now treating those by targeting nerve roots and targeting the use of medications that would change the electrical signals could actually restore healing and function in the body is what they theorize. Now, the problem with chemicals, they're never going to fix a structural issue with your spine. But here we go. Using electrical impulses rather than the chemicals or biological molecules found in today's drugs is what they want to do. Now, they touted as electroceuticals. They either want drugs, they've even stated they want to change and use a smart virus in a vaccine to treat high blood pressure. And this was a journal of hypertension because what they found was that through damage and inflammation of the upper neck, and this is where we correct misalignments when we want to help people with blood pressure issues. When we want to treat a person who's suffering with blood pressure, I don't treat blood pressure, mind you, but I treat the person, I treat the underlying cause, a subluxation, less light, sublux, less light. That's what subluxation means. And it's basically a term coined for the fact that it's like electrical energy is like light. It's health, it's vitality. The brain is communicating down the spinal cord over the nerves, and through that process, that's how healing occurs. That's how proper regulation of your blood pressure occurs. So the Journal of Hypertension found that there was inflammation around the brainstem after neck traumas, and through that process, it would change the nerve signals that go into the heart, and through that process, now somebody would have high blood pressure and cardiac problems. Well, what they wanted to do in this research, they were doing tests on rats, and they would literally cause inflammation and damage to their necks, and then they would say, okay, now how do we create a vaccine, a smart virus, to actually inject that would downregulate the nervous system so that it wasn't causing stress to the heart? Would you like to have a smart virus that attacks your nervous system injected in you, John, if you had high blood pressure?
Negative.
Sure?
Yes.
Folks, if you want the latest and greatest in medicine, go get a vaccine that will actually inject a smart virus. Well, they're trying to figure this out right now, but they just, like, you ever seen I Am Legend with Will Smith, the movie I Am Legend? It's like one of my favorite ones, like the zombie apocalypse. Like, we created the measles. We used the polio vaccine, and the polio virus, and we injected it. The measles virus, it attacks the cancer cells. And then everybody goes zombie apocalypse. Medicine, what are you doing to us? Oh, no. I've been injected with a smart virus. I'm no longer smart, though. I'm like, how are you going to control that virus from attacking, only changing the nerve impulses in the nerves that go to your heart?
Yeah. Good luck with that.
And why downregulate it when you need to restore balance? You don't need to kill off nerve fibers. Oh, boy. Gets me kind of worked up just thinking about that. Man, okay. So what they say here, I got things highlighted here. I'm just going to read through my highlights. I'll explain why I highlighted it. You know, they talk about electricity as being, they want to mapping neural circuits in animals and humans. They're mapping out the nervous system. And they're mapping it out. This was published in the Journal of Nature. Love nature. Love getting out in nature. That's why I'm the wild doc. So the idea is to use the electrical impulses that form the language, they even quote, language of the body's nervous system to address a range of diseases from high blood pressure, breathing problems, eventually even brain disorders. See, one of the number one causes of Parkinson's disease is head and neck trauma, like whiplash injuries, car accidents. I wonder why so many patients with Parkinson's disease have actually reversed those conditions in one study. Roughly, now it was MS in 40-some patients with MS, 30-some patients with Parkinson's disease. They had almost 80% of those Parkinson's disease patients improve substantially, more than 50% complete reversals in both conditions, both MS and Parkinson's. And both those conditions have a strong correlation between past history of head and neck trauma, major spinal traumas, and then inducing. And the medical community has actually fortified that research by saying that head and neck trauma, whiplash injuries, car accidents could actually instigate and cause autoimmune conditions. And that's what they kind of say, that realm of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. But this is also why we see so many people helped in my clinic and other structural corrective chiropractors that work on correcting subluxation, the misalignments in the spine, not just mobilizing the spine to relieve pain. You got to be very specific with your adjustments, and it would be amazing to incorporate exercises, and that's what I do in my clinic to help stabilize the spine. So the language of the body's nervous system addresses all those diseases. They say that bioelectronics is set to be the next big wave in medicine, folks. That's what they're saying. The drug companies and the medical community is saying the bioelectronics, what they want to do is they want to develop devices to hook up to your nerves. Literally, they want to hook up wires to one of your nerves. They say your nerve to your pancreas is not signaling to your pancreas, so you've got diabetes now. So they want to hook up a wire there to try and signal the pancreas to function properly. Huh? Here's an interesting fact, folks.
That makes sense.
The same nerve fibers, it's like it doesn't make sense because it's like, well, the nerve is malfunctioning and not signaling properly. Figure out why. I always tell patients, ask yourself further why. I had a patient came in with just back muscle spasms in her back, and she had a curvature of her spine. She had scoliosis. And I asked her, because she was told by this natural health talk website that, your symptoms correlate with back spasms. That's what you have. So their diagnosis was spasms of the lower back. Like, okay, so what's causing the lower back spasms? She goes, I don't know. And I'm like, but that's the thing, is ask yourself why. Why? Now, like I was talking to a patient.
There has to be a cause and effect.
Yes. So the muscles are not going to do anything unless the nerve fibers tell them to do that. Like, it doesn't work. You cut the nerves in your muscles, the muscles completely die practically. They don't work, they become paralyzed. So if you put pressure on those nerves, they become irritated. Inflammation causes spasming in the muscles. They lock down. So let's fix the misalignments of the spine. Now, the why behind misalignments is you sleep wrong, you bend wrong, you were in a car accident, you fell, you're learning to ride a bicycle. My little, boy right now is like Karate Kid off the back of the couch on the back of my neck. That's both misalignments for his spine and mine, so we both got to get adjusted. So that's the why behind misalignments of the spine. Even the birth process, I have seen infants that have misalignments in their spine from forceps delivery being pulled out there, and then, or the doctors just, it may have been necessary to save the child in that situation, during the birth. But what I'm saying is, just that force, even just pushing down the birth canal, it can be a compressive force in the spine, and by adjusting that spine, allowing that child to grow straight, well, now we allow that child to grow healthy. So, interesting fact there, what I was getting at was the same nerve fibers that conduct and signal to your brain tickle, they also signal pain. That's why when you get tickled so much, eventually you're laughing, and then after a little while you start to say, ow, ow, it hurts. Yeah. It's the same signaling pathway, it's the same nerve fibers. It's the tone of those nerves, the tone. How are they going to get an electrical device to tone exactly every minute, every second of every day? They're going to sit there with a knob and be like, tone it up, tone it down, tone it up, just ate breakfast, tone it up, get your pancreas working again, tone it down, get the pancreas shutting down since you're not eating right now. No more. It's like the tone is important, folks, and what controls that is the inborn intelligence in your brain. It's the circuitry that we cannot mimic that. There's no way. No computer can process what the brain does. I mean, it's like
your own computer.
30 trillion bits of information are processed by our central nervous system every second. Literally every second. We only conceive, we can actually understand that only about 50 bits of information. Like my eyeballs are taking in light from different areas. I see this little thing moving here, the words on the computer, but only about 50 bits of information are actually, I know are going on. Yeah. So all those other, do the math on that. What's 50 bits? What's 30 trillion minus 50 bits? What would be the 29 trillion billion? I don't know. So, that's how important your nervous system is, folks. All I'm getting at here is please do not wait for medicine to create a bioelectronic device to hook up to your nerves and then start shocking you to try and tell your pancreas, your organs, your digestive system, your gallbladder how to work.
You really just become the $6 million man.
Yeah, just please give me a call.
Hey, things hooked up to you.
Well, I've seen people that have literally been through $200,000 surgeries that didn't work, didn't help them. They've been through multiple surgeries. I had one woman that had, neck problems. She had thyroid issues. She had cardiac problems. She went through heart surgery. She went through thyroid surgery. She went through all kinds of medication treatments. She had a breast reduction because her breasts were too heavy. I was like, listen, where the body God gave you, just strengthen your spine to actually be able to hold it there, And she went through all these procedures, still had to have a neck fusion eventually, and all those problems came from her neck fusion. Now, by God, it was a miracle practically. I'll admit, it was a miracle. Like, God, I didn't do this because you just brought her to me and I did what you told me to do, and I started correcting any misalignment in her spine I could. We couldn't change where the fuse, but amazingly we were able to take enough tension off those nerves by correcting areas above and below those spinal fusions, and she literally got off of every single one of her medications. Literally, her knees healed that she was waiting 5 years to have a knee replacement. She was waiting for Medicare. It's like, we got to wait for Medicare because then they pay big bucks and then you can afford to have your knees replaced, so let's just wait. That's what doctors are saying. It's just kind of like, really? You're going to suffer for 5 more years, just get through it because it's too expensive. We'll wait. I'm like, wow, really? Yeah. But she literally didn't have to have a knee surgery. Knee replacement, completely avoided. It took us about 2 years to achieve that knee, but it took us like months to actually see that she got off multiple medications for her heart and other things. So, that's restoration of health and healing. That's what we need to focus on in healthcare. All right? If you want that, I was going to say this today, I think it's pretty cool. But Hippocrates, so even before this study in 1930s, even before this study, even before this book from 1743, Orthopedia, just Orthopedia. Look at this. The special edition of Orthopedia, or The Art of Correcting and Preventing Deformities in Children. Privately, it comes from the classics of medicine. Man, printed in the United States of America. There's really cool. It was like Yale University was in here. Like Yale. I'm like, wow, Yale, way back then. I mean, just all kind of dean of faculty. Physique at Paris. They spell things weird too, like physique. Physick. That was the way they... Royal College of Medicine. All kinds of cool stuff in history. Classics. You know, they should make the doctors in today's medicine read the classics, because the classics have more information to be able to help people than nowadays pharmaceutical written textbooks. All right, so here we go. I was going to say that Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, like 400 BC, said, "Look well to the spine for the cause and prevention of all disease." He said, "Let food be thy medicine." And he was a huge advocate for treating patients, not conditions. The true physician treats a patient. They don't treat a condition. Because a person's condition could be caused from many different factors. It's multifaceted. That's what health is. So when there's a disease process, you have to look at all the multiple factors that are weighing in on this person's function, their ability to heal, their organ malfunction, everything. You got to figure out those factors that are on that person's life. You know, so if you've ever, we think that we're in this modern age right now, because of technology, we're in this modern age. So folks, please, please, please call in, comment if you've ever been to a physician that looked at your nutrition, let food be thy medicine, and looked well to your spine for the cause or prevention of disease and restoration of health problems. If you've had a physician look at your spine and look at your nutrition, that together, God has blessed you, because you found the doctor of the future right there. And if you want one of those doctors, give this phone number a call. I'm not going to tell you, I know it's doctor of the future though. I'm not going to tell you who it is though. It's 931-591-2010. That's the Doctor of the Future's phone number right there. The Doctor of the Future, folks. I've got his phone number. I got it from him. It's called 931-591-2010. Give that phone number a call right now. Nobody's there, though. You'll get an answering machine. But we'll call you back on Monday. We open? Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're open on Monday. Yes, that's right. My homemade beer will not prevent me from going to work on Monday. I'm just kidding, folks. All right. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Not going to get drunk. That's not good, because that can alter your mind. You know, more people, you know, last week we were talking about marijuana. I love saying it that way. I don't know why. Or now the DEA calls it marijuana. Hey, would that be a J or... They spelled it with an H. Marijuana. Not marijuana. So... that way nobody could Google it and find out that they're actually passing it as a Schedule I drug when it has medicinal properties. It doesn't even meet the definition of a Schedule I drug. Even the government's own patents have medicinal properties spelled out. Trauma, TBI. Guess what? We could literally be using marijuana, to help our military members with TBI and PTSD. Traumas to the brain, help regenerate nerve cells, because CBD can do that. Now, THC, I'm not seeing a lot of effectiveness in terms of that, but I'm seeing lots in terms of the CBD, cannabidiol. So, anyways, make sure you call. I got a little rant on my Facebook. Go to my Facebook page, thewilddoc.com, and go to my Facebook there, The Wild Doc on Facebook, and you'll see further down in the post a little rant I had about pregnant women and marijuana increased use in the United States. But I also have our state legislators' phone numbers on there, so Mark Green, Andy Holt, and others. Make sure you give them a call. Let them know that you want, you know, the reality is this. I don't want people going around smoking, getting high, and having the psychoactive effect. Now, am I somebody who has the right to say, no, you shouldn't be able to do that if you're in pain and suffering from cancer and other problems? So beyond just pain relief from the CBD, you want also the THC so that you can change and alter your mindset because you're depressed about it. So that's better than an antidepressant that increases the risk of suicide. Yes. Let's not go there yet, but we will maybe later. But the reality is this. That's not my place. I think we need less government control. Prohibition doesn't work. Christ told us that and taught us that in the Bible. The first prohibition was don't eat of the tree, good and evil. Don't the tree in the middle of the garden. Don't eat of it. Eve ate of it, fed it to Adam. Prohibition didn't work. God only had two people to watch over, and he couldn't prohibit them. Anyways, that's human nature. It is inborn in us to do that. So, the reality is just teach right from wrong, enable people to make good moral decisions, and give them control of their life and empower people to take the right path, the right control of their life. And that's how we get rid of those problems from that. But I'm not anyways. So there's benefits there. I'm just like, come on, let's create independence. People could grow medicine.
Yeah.
A powerful medicine like hemp, not the cannabis that we call marijuana, the Colombian joints, the really good one. No, I'm kidding.
They're really good. Yeah, you forget I'm from the 60s.
Really? Mark Green said something. He said, we don't know if marijuana is this gateway drug that would lead to more heroin use and opioid use. And, we're in the worst epidemic of heroin and opiate deaths, 33,000 per year, over 33,000 per year. We know what caused it. It was the pharmaceutical industry that lied about the addictive nature of opiate narcotic pain medications. And now we have doctors prescribing them when people aren't in cancer pain, they shouldn't be getting the drug. But they're getting it for a sprained knee, a sprained ankle. They're getting it for a sinus infection. They got it for an ear infection. Patients of mine saying, yeah, I got Oxycontin prescribed to me for an ear infection. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. That doctor who did that is part of the problem that is killing 33,000 people per year. That's me going off for a second there, because that doctor should lose his license, because that's not when to prescribe that drug. Fact. Now CBD has been shown.
To me, that is worse than growing marijuana.
Yes, it
in
is.
the backyard.
And Mark Green was like, we don't know which one's going to be worse, but in the 60s, did it lead you into heroin and going nuts? No. If marijuana, the high, is that no pun intended? The highest point that people were getting high from marijuana was like 60s, 70s probably,
Yeah.
And it's like, and even before that, it was like, we would have never gotten anywhere because the settlers, like literally the Mayflower, they had marijuana and hemp on the Mayflower. Like they brought that stuff, colonizing Americas. Brought it. They made money on it. If it was this horrible drug that everybody says it is, we would have never had this great country we call America now.
No.
They'd all be snacking on, sweet corn and back then.
Great.
Anyway, wow, I get way off track. I have fun though. I appreciate the opportunity to teach health in a fun and upbeat manner sometimes. And sometimes I'm the other way. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, the whole world is taking drugs. We need to get the medical system out of medicine. We need to get people the truth in healthcare. Yeah, so I go both ways a little bit in terms of, I got really high and upbeat, and then I go like Debbie Downer sometimes, like my skunk dying because we weren't allowed to have skunks. Like Andy Holt passed legislation that you can own a skunk in Tennessee. Did you see the show last week? Did you listen in on it?
I got part of it.
Yeah, I was reading up on Andy Holt, since he's kind of against, because of his Christian moral values, say no to marijuana passage for medical uses. But if he's ever taken a medication, then he has partaked in what's called pharmakeia in the biblical text. The Greek biblical text says pharmakeia. It is the use of drugs, and it forbids that. So, and alcohol and all this, changing the mindset. Jesus drank wine, but he didn't get drunk.
No.
Okay? I'm a sinner, folks. I've done some bad things in my past. I'm not trying to be this perfect angel. Christ is the only one who was that. So please don't harp on me. I've done bad things. I mean, literally, I deserve nothing. I deserve to go to hell because of the things I've done. But thank God Christ died on the cross, so I get to go to heaven because I've accepted that. So I'm lucky there. I'm lucky. He has healed me, through his blood. So, just saying, I'm just trying to encourage people to do better. That's what we can do as human beings. We can just try and do better. And that's what I'm encouraging medical physicians by going and just harping on some of them sometimes. You made a mistake. You got somebody addicted to narcotics because they had an ear infection. You know what? Now go back and do everything you can to not prescribe another medical drug made by the same manufacturer that got them addicted. So it's like, oh, you're addicted to OxyContin? Now let's put you on Suboxone and this other drug and this other drug and this other drug, because you have 5 drugs you got to take to actually wean yourself off of, and then you got to take those drugs for the rest of your life. You know, that's the medical community's like, it's literally like, let's get you addicted, and then we're going to put you on 5 drugs. That increases our profit line, and then we're going to do that for the rest of their life, because we don't try and correct and heal, and that's where, you know, people like veterans grown with CBD. That's what I've seen with patients getting off of narcotic pain medications, those things, but getting adjusted because they're healthier, they don't need it anymore. All right, so back to this article. Parkinson's disease. These are conditions for which they want to develop electroceuticals or bioelectronics, for which all of these conditions have healed in the clinic of the future. They've healed not in the future, but they've healed presently in the clinic of the future. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. You know it? I loved that movie. I would watch it over and over and over again. I always wanted a hoverboard. Anyways, Parkinson's disease, fear, depression, neurological disorders, bladder control. Degenerative disc disease in the lower back can actually cause people to need Depends diapers. So if we were to correct or take care of the lower back, no more bladder problems. I've had patients, I've had leaking bladder, have to wear Depends diapers, no longer have to have diapers. Adults. Yeah. Because we corrected the alignments of their lower back. Neurological disorders, seen many of those. I've had patients come in with severe depression, getting off of all of their depression medications because we're correcting the misalignments in the neck that cause a stress response to the brain. I've had patients with Parkinson's disease significantly improved to almost completely reverse those conditions. Only treated a few of those because not a lot of people seek out because they don't know about the research, the evidence, and the proof that misalignments and traumas of the spine can cause Parkinson's disease. So now you know, and now you need to share this. Share the truth. Don't just like the truth, because sharing the truth is the only way we save and change lives, folks. That's the Wild Doc slogan right there. All right, dystonia, so dizziness, nerve deadening devices. Literally, they want to create nerve deadening devices to treat things like stubborn high blood pressure. All right, so you have high blood pressure. We just checked you with a cuff. We need to rush you off to deaden your nerves. Folks, are you ready for that medical? That is the bioelectronics is set to be the next big wave in medicine. Nerve deadening devices for stubborn high blood pressure. Welcome to it's hysteria. That is just, you're not healthier by removing an organ. You're not healthier by deadening nerves. Sorry. Treating diabetes, I've seen people with diabetes completely get off their medications, reverse diabetes as soon as we get pressure off the brainstem. I've had patients go through car accidents, have diabetes. We correct their spines. They no longer have diabetes. So if you've ever been in a car accident, please, please, please give the Doctor of the Future a call. It's 931-591-2010. Give him a call. Let him help you. Make sure that you don't develop diabetes or thyroid issues or health problems because of that whiplash injury in your neck. And if you've had a misalignment from a car accident, if you had a recent car accident, get checked immediately. Why? Because a car accident is like whipping your spine out of alignment. It's like breaking my arm. I shouldn't let that break go and not get an x-ray, evaluate the alignment, and then if it's out of alignment, have somebody reset it in alignment so it heals in the proper position. Does it make sense? So if you've had a car accident recently, get the x-ray, realign that spine so it heals in the proper position. Because if you let it heal out of position, 5-10 years from now, you're going to deal with severe arthritis, sinus issues, thyroid problems, blood sugar, blood pressure issues, all these issues. And then you're going to come in and you're going to be like, hey, doc, can you fix this problem I'm having? It'd be like an ortho being like, why didn't you come to me when you broke your arm immediately to have me reset it so it healed in the right alignment? That's what I look at but they don't know. That's what's so sad. Share the truth.
Sometimes people don't realize it. I've heard people say, oh, I'm just a little stiff.
Yep.
You know, I had a wreck. Just a little stiff. But that is just the beginning.
When you're stiff, why? Stiff is a bad thing. It's the muscles, irritation, inflammation around the spine, scar tissue setting up.
But, they say, oh, it'll go away in a couple of days.
Why don't they, why do they not when they go through surgery for football players nowadays, when somebody has a whiplash injury, they don't put them in those collars anymore. They don't lock their neck down because they found out that caused massive arthritis. because your joints, so they start nowadays physical therapy after surgery almost immediately. Why? So that's an intelligent thing that medicine has done. Realized that those collars, that not going through movement exercises for joints after they've done surgery on them are very, very detrimental, because you have to move those joints through the healing process. If they don't move, they deteriorate, they build up scar tissue. You have much more problems in the future. So you got to keep them moving. You got to keep them in the right alignment while they improve. Treating diabetes, muscle imbalances, lung diseases, food intake. Literally, they're saying now we can regulate and improve food intake. And that's true. The nervous system controls your appetite. It controls your digestive processes, those things. So it controls everything, folks. How do we not realize yet in this day and age how important taking care of the spinal structure is? They say the $1 million prize. Now, I don't want to create these bioelectronics, the $1 million prize I'm never going to get, even though I could. Just because, I've got the secret here. It comes from the spine, but then the pharmaceutical industry is going to look at Dr. Brown and go be like, Dr. Brown, how do we patent your hands? We can't do that. So then we're not going to promote this. I'd be like, well, chiropractic's already saying this. Why don't you just take all the money that you've been wasting on trying to develop cancer drugs and more surgeries and more electroceuticals? Why don't you just take all that money there and the grant money that the government is giving you to actually develop a lot of your drugs and just give it to the chiropractic profession and say, here, let's significantly train all chiropractors on structural correction, how to care for the spine, the best of our ability. Let's forward that research. The stuff that this 1933 research article. Now we're starting it. It's only 10 minutes till the end of the show. All right, the research study. Look at this. 1933, Stanford University School of Medicine. Stanford University School of Medicine published this research article. The title of it is Spinal Curvature's Visceral Disturbances. Visceral meaning organs in your body. Anses in relation thereto. Anses. What is anses? A-N-C-E-S. Oh, wait. There's a hyphen. Forehead against mic. Spinal curvatures, visceral disturbances, not disturbances. I'm having too much fun today. Irritation of the here. So I'm reading from this research article. These medical orthopedic doctors back then, physicians, not surgeons, because they weren't doing the surgery. Some were, and then they're actually showing how the surgery didn't work. Directly from this research article, it says irritation of the spinal nerves as they leave the spinal cord. So as the nerves, they come at the spinal cord, so your brain, then you have the cord, and then you have all these nerve roots coming out of the spine. So you have the spinal structure, the bones. As those nerve roots leave the spinal cord, they exit through the canals, the little foramens, the little holes in each level of your spine. If the spine is out of alignment, it causes pressure irritation. That irritation then causes problems. So here, whether within the confines of the bony canal or just outside of it, is shown to produce somatic disturbances in the levels innervated by those nerves. So the area of the body where the nerve travels could be disturbed. It could have a disease process. Cervical involvement, that would be your neck, was associated with headache, sore neck, pain in the shoulders and arms, precordial. Pericardial would be like right against the muscle of the heart. And you have precordial, that would be just above the heart tissue. Pain, often thought by the patient to be due to the heart, was found to be due to osteoarthritis of the upper dorsal spine. That would be this upper back here. So the upper dorsal fin. Do you have a dorsal fin? Do you know him? Do you call him at home? Okay, it's Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. That's one of my favorite songs too. No! I just love that movie. I'm going to watch that with my son today. Is that okay for a 2.5-year-old to watch Ace Ventura yet? Probably not. No, there's a couple parts I wouldn't do it. No. Precordial. Pain in the gallbladder, epigastric areas was noted when the mid-dorsal area was involved. Appendicitis, pelvic disease were elements in differential diagnosis. That's mean, what all could be going on? Appendicitis, pelvic disease. Endometriosis. Ovarian issues. These are all problems that could be caused by misalignments of the spine. And through this research, they proved by correcting the spine, you would actually reverse those conditions. The dorsal vertebrae being affected, out of alignment. Carnett, in 1927, investigated the follow-up reports of operations of chronic appendicitis, gallbladder disease done by a large group of capable surgeons and found that a fairly high percentage, I think it's hilarious that they say, that these people were dealing with health problems like appendicitis and gallbladder disease. They had surgery done by capable surgeons. So they are capable of removing an organ safely, I guess. But they weren't capable of addressing the underlying cause. So how capable were they at the job the person's actually hiring them to do, which is to restore their health and healing and function? Not capable of that. Capable of removing an organ. So that's what they got paid for. Just a thought. High percentage of patients were not relieved by the operations. High percentage. They literally say the majority of patients going through, I mean, you're never removing the cause of a problem by removing an organ. Is there a time and place for those invasive surgeries and procedures when the disease process has gone way, way too far to where now there's a threat to that person's life almost immediately? We need to remove it, like a ruptured appendix. Yes, that is emergency situation. But if you've had your appendix removed, please get to the underlying cause, because now the result from not correcting the cause, which is spinal misalignments, can result in further dysfunction of other organs in that region, such as the pelvic area, the bladder, the prostate, reproductive area for women, the digestive tract. I mean, you see so many people, they got like 5 different conditions. They've got digestive issues, they've had appendix removed, they've got ovarian issues, and they got endometriosis, and they got constipation. Like, that's all that's everything. And it's like, well, that's the region where the nerves branch out and go to that area of the body. So let's check that area and region of your spine. And we correct that in all those issues. Health is restored. That's why subluxation is a great term for what chiropractors should be correcting. Sub, less, light. Lux is light. Okay, so if we turn out all the lights in here, how do we turn back on health being light? Just turn on the light. Turn it back on. Reconnect the wires. If the wires were disrupted, the signal was disrupted to these lights. How do we restore light? Health. Reconnection, folks. Becoming whole. And that's what's amazing about this orthopedic in this research article. They literally say it's the whole body is integrated. Let me run down to that end article, because we're not going to have time to go through this all, but I'm going to go through multiple cases for which people were able to have relief from ovarian issues, infertility, from digestive issues, all these problems in this research article all the way back in 1933. You know, if you have a physician that's been searching for the cause of your problem, but has yet to evaluate you in a standing position, your posture, and then evaluate the spinal x-ray, well, then they're missing one of the critical causes. Again, Hippocrates said, look well to the spine for the cause and prevention of all disease. And he spoke on 2 things, cause and prevention, because we want people not only, we want children, why orthopedia was originally, that profession was created to evaluate a child, make sure they're growing straight, folks. Straight, upright, proper posture, proper positioning. You know, I wanted to touch base on why what I do in my clinic is so different. Why? Because what I do is we do structural correction. Somebody doesn't just come into my office, lay down on the table. I don't just pop the neck. I don't manipulate the spine. I take a very detailed analysis, whether it be through posture, palpation, feeling and touching by hand on the spine. I go in and I'll look on x-ray in those patients that we can look on x-ray with, and then we evaluate those alignments, and we take where those misalignments are with specific detail. We correct that, and through that correction, health, nerve flow is restored, less irritation like they're talking about here in this research article, and function and health is restored. That's the doctor of the future, folks, right there. So make sure that you call the Doctor of the Future's office, 931-591-2010. Go to thewilddoc.com if you want to learn more about wilderness remedies and natural ways to be healthy and well. But here we go. This William Kerr, MD, University of California Medical School, San Francisco. Isn't there a song? San Francisco. Okay. The effects of scoliosis and faulty posture on the nerve roots may be quite as important a factor in producing visceral, that'd be organ symptoms, as hypertrophic arthritis or tabes dorsalis. That would be an infection, typically tabes dorsalis. It goes on here. It says, in this way, the action of the entire organism, the human body, the action of the entire organism is integrated. In this integration through the nervous system, there is a correlative effect during states of physiological health, which makes all systems of the body act as a united whole. That's the point I'm getting at here, folks. If we want to create health, we have got to increase the integration of your nervous system that coordinates all actions by communicating to the brain, communicating to the organs, taking in information from what you've ate to what's going on around you, to the stress you're under, to the toxins you're exposed to. Everything is taken in. The communication, the information goes to the brain. The brain says, do this, sends the signals back down to the organs. The organs are then functioning. Their physiological state of homeostasis and balance and function is controlled by the nervous system. Take care of the spine, folks. That's how we restore health. They go on here, and we'll go through all these cases next time. They say, the conclusions. Look at this. The summary conclusions, the last major point they leave in the conclusions is a plea, please. A plea is made by the general recognition of the role of spinal curvatures in the production of visceral disturbance. A plea is made for the general recognition of this. Because why? It is herein maintained that certain spinal curvatures such as scoliosis, kyphosis, lordosis, these are all major terms for structural variations of what is the proper alignment of your spine, may produce definite visceral symptomatology, visceral malfunction and organ symptoms, and that this is generally not recognized by the medical profession. They said it is important to evaluate the structure and position of the spine to restore health, to prevent people from going through these unnecessary surgeries. They're talking about these people going through. And they literally, a brief mention is made of a girl who had chronic appendix, and later who's apparently normal right ovary. Her ovary was, it says her ovary were removed. Oh, appendix and ovary. Removed with a return of right-sided symptoms after operation. Thank God they only removed one ovary, because they would have been removing. How many young girls have had their ovaries removed because they're having abdominal and pelvic problems? Because of scoliosis and misalignment of their spine, they had their ovaries removed, and then they can no longer have children, and their ovaries were normal. That has happened so much. And it's not, and they even go through and say that cystic ovarians, obstructions of the fallopian tubes, were found to be caused by structural misalignments of the spine, folks. Think about the future of our young girls before we cut on them, before we do these invasive procedures, before we cut out the gallbladder. Please give the doctor of the future a call. 931-591-2010. 931-591-2010.
You have to rebuild your body's superhighway.
Exactly.